Well, hello! It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. So, let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I have weird shadows on my face and... Okay, it's the shadow from the camcorder, so we're gonna have the camcorder in frame. I'm sorry. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And, I don't know if I have anything too exciting tonight, but maybe... Okay, I listed a whole bunch of pens, you're just gonna have to pay attention. And, I'm gonna list one more right now. I totally forgot to mention that I also filmed a review of the Senator Windsor, which I took to school today to write with. So, what would you like to see me publish next week? And no, it won't be the surprise nice pen, because I'm saving that for a special occasion. Someday when I feel like I need a pick-me-up. So, let's dive into the pens. Alright, so these are the pens I've been using this week. I have a Pevdi stainless steel, a Parker Duofold, which I was going to refill, but ran empty, and I just wanted to keep writing with it, so I once again refilled it with Parker Quink Washable Blue. Parker Jotter, Parker Duofold, another version of the Parker Duofold known as the Parker Slimfold, Kaweco Dia2, Geha 705, which has definitely been neglected, a Garant Silke, and a Conklin Word Gauge. As always, I'll be doing my writing samples in this cognitive surplus notebook. So my first pen was my first impression this week. This is a Pevdi fountain pen made in Hungary. This one is, as I pointed out in the video, very similar to a Markdown, and it's also very similar to a Mont Blanc, where the name escapes me again. But anyway, I used this as a daily writer a few times this week, and it's actually a very nice writer. I'll just point out that by some kind of miracle, this modern converter fit. So apparently it was made compatible with international standards. Not true of every pen in my whole stack that I'm going to be filming or have filmed already, because one or two of them have a cartridge. Alright, so this is a Pevdi stainless steel. And you can see, it's got this very subtle line variation to it. The ink in it, which I've filmed a bunch of first impressions. And I've got a lot of this ink floating around my house in pens right now. Fortunately, it's washable. I'm working on an experiment to investigate the washable thing further. Not ready for it yet, but I am working on it. Basically, what I've been hearing from people is this one can be bleached out of clothing, and the regular Parker Blue cannot. So I actually want a further experiment to go with it, so I'm going to hold off on doing that till I get the little piece of equipment I want for my further experiment. My next pen, I was going to empty it out, because I did empty it out. I was going to put something fun in it. I thought, Helianthus or something, but nope. I couldn't control myself, and I put more Parker Quink Washable Blue in it. And I like the finish on this pen. It's just pretty. And this is something I can pay for. Well, you paid for, because advertising dollars. I don't do Patreon or anything like that, but I do advertising dollars. So this is a Parker Duofold. O-fold. And this is very wet, as you can tell from how dark it is. International. It has a medium nib. And again, it has Parker Quink Washable Blue. And right there, between these two pens, you can see what a difference the pen makes in how an ink looks. Someday I've thought I'd like to do a video of it. I just haven't been very organized about doing so. But, I know I like Noodler's Black Swan and Australian Rose, but I have a couple pens where it's just a really plain pale purple. And then I suspect if I put it in this pen, it would be quite nice. For envelopes and such, I have my Parker Jotter inked up with Platinum Carbon Black, which is one of their nano inks. This is one of the few pens that I post because it's tiny. Hey, he's changed the ink finally. So this is a medium nib. And the ink in it is Platinum Carbon Black. I'll be honest, if I were to show you all the pens inked, which includes all the first impressions I've already filmed, I have more pens with Parker Quink Washable Blue than anything else right now. That's one of the drawbacks to batch filming. At least if you use the same ink every time. So this is a good one for addressing envelopes. It's not an ink I like particularly as a daily use ink, especially because it's one that you can't leave in the pen for a long time. You do need to wash it out because it is a nano ink. It just leaves little deposits in your pen, and you don't want them there because there's not really solvents to take them out. So this is a Parker Duofold Centennial. I purchased, it was another one paid for by advertising dollars, but it's been a few years. It's a pen I've always wanted. Only took me about 30 years to get it. Parker Duofold. Now see, the ink I have in this is one that you would use as a daily writer, and you'll notice that the nib that I'm using, a fine, is an appropriate daily writer for just regular, everyday type of writing. So Parker Quink Black. And one of the things I discovered recently is that these inks like the black that I used to call permanent, and I know Parker used to call permanent, they no longer do. So I've been working through researching ink terminology. That whole free time thing is sort of lacking, but I've been researching it a little, and I won't say it's inconsistent as I first thought, but it's definitely inconsistent, and you will find inconsistencies between retailers and ink makers. So all in all, it's a more complicated story than I first expected it to be. And I realize you only watched half that writing sample, so I apologize. Almost did an all Parker Duofold video because I have some other vintage ones. We could do that. That may be a project for when I don't have so many flipping pens inked up with Parker Quink Washable Blue. Might be kind of fun. But this is a Parker Slimfold. I was going to look up the size, but then I didn't. This is a UK version of the Parker Duofold. In fact, the Duofold was sold longer in the UK than it was in the United States. But, it's a different kind of pen than in the United States, too. So, Parker Slimfold. I don't know what nib size it is. Medium, broad, something like that. 5 is what's written on it. But, what ink is this? That's kind of a nice shady red. So I don't know why I was on the Protopens website, because I just bought an expensive pen from them. But I was. Definitely with no intention to buy. I won't be buying pens for a while, and I'm totally okay with that. But I purchased this because I saw it there, even though I just spent way too much money. So this is Parker Quink Red. So it gives red in a few different languages over here. Parker Quink Red. Same label with, I don't know, is that a store label? And then underneath we have Made in France and some stuff. Flip her over. Nothing too exciting on top. And then the bottle itself isn't the same as a modern bottle, but it is darn close. Stamped basically the same underneath. So I'm not 100% sure how old this bottle is. I know, whoops. So I don't know what I was just saying. Oh, I don't know the age of the bottle, but I'm glad I got some. You know, the cardboard in the box is just starting to yellow, but I also don't know how it was stored. You know, if this is a date, there's an 06, 06, 08. So, you know, is that European dating where they may, well, okay, I always get this wrong. Anyway, apparently in Europe they write dates differently where they don't put things in the same order as I'm used to. And I never remember the order because the order I like is year, month, day. Although to communicate with other people, I'll write, how's that go? Now I'm getting self-conscious. Month, day, year. But apparently Europe, they turn that around somewhat. So I like year, month, day because that makes organizing computer files in order much easier. So that nerdy little excursion out of the way, I'll write the name of the ink into a swatch. And this isn't washable or permanent or anything. This is just Parker Quink. Red. And I thought it deserved to be in a Parker pen. Plus, I was fixing to write with Parker Quink Red no matter what this week, so, you know, I was looking at a couple Parker pens. You know, the Jotter, or not the Jotter, the Vector was at the top of the list because it's red, but I thought, no, I haven't written with this in a while. Plus, I was on a Zoom chat with a few pen people, and we actually talked about this pen, so I thought, well, what the heck, let's just bring it up. My next pen is a holdover from last week. Some of this may change more slowly than you may like, just because of all the pens inked up for first impressions with the same ink that I gotta get through this flipping ink. So this is a Kaweco Dia2. Whoops, and that was a mess. Jeepers. Kaweco Dia2, which is a very nice pen. Oh, the fan in my computer's taken off. It must not be enjoying doing this video. This is a broad, it has the gold nib in it. I have not had good luck with Kaweco's broader steel nibs, but this one has been great. The ink in it is Noodler's Matahari's Cordial. And do a swatch. I just, you know, of course I like the character, despite, you know, the side that she was supposedly on. She is kind of a sympathetic character. And, you know, I've always been interested in First World War, so... Yeah, and the color is actually a really interesting color too, so I like the ink. Then I have my Geha 705A. The ink is definitely down in this one. So as much as I say I haven't been writing with it, I actually have, but this is a pretty stingy nib with the ink. The ink in it is vintage Geha blue. And I'll just note, somebody commented that I should have rehydrated a cartridge in another video, and then they gave me instructions on how to do it. And I'm like, I know that, because I just did it a week ago on the Geha. So I'm guessing they're not a regular viewer, or they just forgot. And I've done it before. So this is a vintage... the name is escaping me at the moment, but a vintage cartridge from Argentina, and I attempted to rehydrate it, and the ink actually would not dissolve in the water, which was interesting. There it is. The one that they wanted to see me review, which is laying here for a reason. I just didn't want to do it in that particular review. I have some vintage Pevdi ink. So I'm going to rehydrate one of these cartridges after the Parker Quink runs out of it. But that will be a different experiment. I just didn't feel like doing it during that review, and I really don't remember why. Then we'll go to East Germany for a Garant Silke, which was actually a gift to me from a German viewer. And it's a very nice writer. It's an oblique medium, which surprises me a bit from East Germany, but there it is. Oops, that's a S. There we go. Garant Silke. Yeah, see, I can tell it's an oblique because if I turn it, ooh, it suddenly writes nicely. Oblique medium. And the nib in it, or sorry, the ink in it is Herbin. Poussière de Lune. And you know, in my rush to get through bottles of ink, I kind of forgot how well I like this ink. I've been trying to pick up the low-hanging fruit and get some bottles emptied, but darn it, I like some of these other inks and I need to use them. Even if it takes longer to get through all my bottles of ink. Before I bring up my last pen, on that note, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm running very low on the Parker Quink Washable Blue, which won't be a problem because ProtoPens donated a bottle of washable blue to the cause, and another viewer donated a bottle of washable blue to the cause. So I now have 2 bottles of washable blue in reserve. So I think I'm set for first impressions for a long time yet. You know, I'd been thinking, what could I do as a replacement for this when it runs out? You know, I have a bottle of Schaefer blue that I think I was given this because I don't remember buying it. I've never had much interest in Schaefer ink, but you know, I thought about switching to that. Another possibility, let's see if I have any up here. Nope. But I do have at school a 1 liter bottle of the Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue, which is kind of on the same lines as the Parker Quink Washable Blue. But we'll save that for the future. So my last pen is a Conklin Word Gauge, which has this silly little gimmick where it supposedly measures how many words you have left in the pen. I don't know how well it works, but I have to admit, as soon as I saw the pen, I was like, want! And I've had it for several years. I've owned other Conklin pens, but I've either sold them or given them away, depending on which pens they were. But this is one I have no interest in selling, and I honestly don't use it as much as I should because I enjoy it. I couldn't tell you why I like it better than the others, but I do. So the ink in it is plain old Parker Quink Blue. When this piece of equipment arrives is one of the reasons I inked this up. I want to have a medium nib with the Parker Quink Blue in it and compare it to Parker Quink Blue in another pen. But I'm starting to think, because I didn't wait till this was totally dry or empty, maybe I want to wash all the pens out and just pick 2 pens from scratch, fill them from scratch right on the video and do that, but I don't know. We've already done a video comparing Parker Quink Washable Blue with Parker Quink regular blue, but I used a glass pen to compare them, so they are perhaps a bit more inconsistent than regular pens. So I don't know. I gotta think through the logistics, and I have to remember this is not a scientific comparison. Now, on that note, I want to just show you. I just kicked the camera. I got so excited there. And a video I tried to film over Christmas where I caused this. I may try to film it again, but one old machine a month is probably enough. Yes, this was caused by an old machine, but not the typewriter. So I mentioned in my community tab that I've got a few pens ready. I don't really want to get up and go get my... Oh, what the hell. Let's do it. Okay, this is going to be a little dusty. But, so I've got a few pens here. So I filmed a bit ahead. I almost wonder, can you wash ink pen cases? This one's looking like it kind of needs it. This, until this year, always traveled in my bag to and from school. But I have a few pens here that I'm going to be doing first impressions. These have all been filmed already. And barring the ones that you've already seen. So the Rex pen, something or other. This is a Centro pen. This is a... Well, there, I just gave it away when all the steel wanted to come with it. This is a Chinese pen. I don't remember its number, but, This is a random ballpoint. This is a random pencil with the tip broken out. Okay, moving on. This is a Pilot. This is a Parker from Finland. This is a mystery expensive pen. And it will remain a mystery till I decide to reveal it. And this is a online pen. So I filmed those, the Pevdi, and another pen that's off screen. It's over there. I don't know if you can see where my finger's pointing. Well, what the heck? Let's grab it. This is a Stadler. This one needs some nib smoothing. So I'm going to experiment on another pen and then come back to this. But it's got a little burr on its feed because I think somebody else tried grinding it. Because under the loop you can kind of tell. This is a Luxor. I think all that plus the Pevdi is what I have filmed so far. So we'll set all that aside. Then I have over here, I started to film this one. This is a Kohinoor. Had an issue where basically the feed wouldn't saturate. So I let it sit, nib down overnight. Well, the feed finally saturated. Oh. It took overnight for the feed to get saturated, and I found out why, because it's not writing very blue. Except I flushed it, because I always flush vintage pens and clean them. So, more ink in there hiding somewhere where it didn't come out when I flushed it. So, a Kohinoor, a Gamma of some kind. Let's see if I grab these two together. These are both vintage Chinese pens. I think, yeah. This one was given to me and I've used before, so it'll be a review. Or, I'm sorry, this one I bought and I've used before, so it'll be a review. So I get to use something other than Parker Quink Washable Blue in it. This one was given to me, so I don't know what I'll do with it. This is a Garant. See if I remember which one this is. Alcor, East German pen. We've got some escapees. Trying to escape from behind the Iron Curtain here, Mr. Czech pen. I don't know if this one dates from the era of Czechoslovakia and the Iron Curtain or not. This is a Reform, which is a German pen. Actually, this is a modern Chinese pen. I almost said Schaefer, a 601A. This is a Garant. No, it isn't. This is a Chaika 65, a Bulgarian pen. We have a Wembley, which, weirdly enough, with a name like that, is actually an Argentine pen. It even says made in Argentina on it, which I'll show you when I film the review, or the video. This is a brand I've never heard of, Gert Long. Just a few more here. This is a Petromatic. Here is a Markant. This is a Garant Dokar. And this is another Goldie. Normally I don't do two of the same model, but the other one did so badly. I want to just try this one out before I look at swapping parts or anything. So, now you know you've got lots of videos to look forward to coming up. So, I hope some of them at least strike your interest. This isn't... Yes, there are some modern pens that I showed you. Yes, there's one very expensive pen that I showed you. But for the most part, you know, what I review isn't your typical for most fountain pen channels, and that's part of the fun of it. I found my little niche, or niche. Maybe it's both. Oh no, it's both. You can say either one, under U.S. pronunciation anyway. So, yeah, I'm excited to do this weekend. And, you know, even if I can't quite manage all of them, I can manage a good chunk of them. And it's just really nice to have reviews sitting in the hopper instead of trying to stay caught up. And I think it all comes down to I did a lot of cleaning and organizing over the holiday break, and it just makes me more productive when I'm in an organized environment. So, it makes me more creative too, because it's like my brain has room to be creative now. And that would be a whole video by itself too. Some people need lots of stuff around to be creative. You know, what does psychology say? So, enough rambling. Got a couple other things I want to talk about. Alright, so if at the beginning you were a little confused, yeah, I batch filmed a bunch of videos, and I'm going to batch film a bunch more this coming weekend, and hope to get through them all. Doing it with this and just doing the writing sample and then doing the talkie part separately really works well for me. And I look forward to getting my Panasonic camera back. That's out for repairs. Haven't heard yet from the cost, but they did send me a nasty email saying, we don't mail to P.O. boxes. So, okay. But, so I gave them my work address, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, one pen I forgot to mention, I brought this up at the beginning of the video, but I'll mention it again, is this Senator Windsor, which turned out to be a review. And I'd actually pulled out an ink to put in it, Krishna Specialty Series Sunburst. And then I forgot, you know, in the excitement of, look at this pen! And just, whoops. Then I dropped it on the floor. And I want to pick it up before I roll my chair over it. There it is. Okay, sorry. I'm a klutz. But, you know, guess what went in the pen because I wasn't thinking. So, yeah. But as you see, that bottle's almost empty, but a viewer was kind enough to send me a bottle of Parker Quink Washable Blue. And, of course, there's the bottle of Parker Quink Washable Blue that ProtoPen sent to me, so we won't be seeing the end of that anytime soon. But I did enjoy writing with this Senator Windsor today. Tomorrow I'm taking one of the Central pens to school, so that'll be fun. But anyway, on other notes, I filmed a typewriter video. I filmed it twice. I filmed it once in the kitchen. Wow! It looks like I've got a smudge on my face. Right there. Guess I gotta lean forward so I get the light on me or something. I missed my Panasonic camera because the lighting was easier to control. You know, I know from comments now people want it brighter, but the lighting on this is just miserable. Because some of these weird shadows didn't show up with the Panasonic. So I'll have to experiment with lighting. If you knew what a tight set I'm actually working in, you'd know why lighting is a little difficult in this set. Let's just say. But anyway, so I filmed on Sunday a video where I talked about my Smith Coronas Silent Super, or Super Silent, something like that. And filmed it in the kitchen. And I had my back... I wasn't in front of the window because I had a cooking mess on the counter, like cooking in progress. So I thought, well, we'll just do it the other way. The other way is, like, there's a doorway that has no door because somebody took it out years ago. And then kind of a landing area where you come in from the back door or you go to the bathroom. I had the bathroom door shut because nobody wants to look at my shower. And, yeah, it was so dark you couldn't make much out. Like, the typewriter video was... The typewriter part especially was awful. So I refilmed it again Monday and filmed it here. I didn't really want to film it on my desk because if you knew how this desk is put together, you'd be like, ah! So, but I thought for one video we'll do it. And, yeah, much better lit. And actually, I feel like the talking part, the me part, was a lot better. The only thing I totally forgot to mention, I put a few links in the video description about Murder, She Wrote. That's actually about well, if you've ever seen the show, it's been off probably since the 90s, but it starred Angela Lansbury, and the credits, she was typing on a mechanical typewriter. The last season or two, she moves to New York City and starts using a word processor, but kind of blew the effect there. But anyway, it's about a sweet little old lady who I think was a retired English teacher. I could have that wrong. But she actually was a widow, and after her husband's death became a serial killer. And, in Cabot Cove, Maine, where, she would just kill somebody almost every week. Then she would travel and kill people in other places. But then to avoid getting caught, she would get wrapped up in the murder investigation because supposedly she's a famous author. And, of course, if you write murder mysteries, of course you know all about police work. And so she would always get away with it. And, the series ended. She never got arrested for all those murders in Cabot Cove, Maine, which is a little depressing. But anyway, I forgot to mention that on Monday during the typewriter video. But like I said, it turned out much better talking-wise and video-wise. So I think that's a fair trade. Now, a few people commented, ooh, typewriter, yick. And, yeah, I'll agree. They have a lot of drawbacks. I don't know how regular a thing it's going to be in my whole workflow. I thought it was a worthwhile experiment. Like I said, ooh, low battery. Turned it off. So, like I said, Adventure Denali inspired me to pull it out of the basement. I have not pulled it out in years. And yeah, it was kind of fun typing on it. So I'd like to find a place for it in my workflow. I just don't know. Is that a shadow or dirt? Oh, it is dirt. Doggone, I must have spilled coffee on my shirt. Ah! I'm a big slob, and I'm distracting myself because it's 8:40 at night. So my attention span is gone. But anyway, Adventure Denali inspired me to pull it out, and I don't know exactly where the typewriter's going to fit in my workflow. Nowadays we can whip out the cell phone and do OCR, which is optical character recognition. And then you've still got the paper copy that you can write on, which is probably just as well because the nice printer that I have is kind of quit working. So, yeah. So, more on that later. But, I did think it was interesting that as I thought about it later, the typewriter did teach me, or did remind me why I like some of the tools I like. I do a lot of work with LaTeX. Almost all the tests I give in school are in LaTeX. And until we went online, where we're doing everything with the computer instead of in paper, most of the handouts they got from me were written with LaTeX. Now, LaTeX has its limitations. You have to know how to code and stuff. So I enjoyed a program called Lix, which was a what you see is what you mean editor. It kind of hid the LaTeX coding behind a friendly face, but still produced really beautiful output. So I enjoyed both of those tools. Another tool I discovered this summer was one called Typora. Now, if you're in the Mac world, you may have heard of Ulysses, which is a Markdown editor. And Typora is another Markdown editor. But Typora has the advantage of I can use it here at home on my Mac, or I can take it to school and use it on my work computer. So I've been using Typora, and I had a subscription to Ulysses for a while, but I dropped it because, well, I can't use it at work, and I'd like a tool that's versatile enough I can use in both places. So I went with Typora, and I've been pretty happy with it. I'll try to remember to put a link to all that in the video description. In fact, I feel like that's a video maybe I should make one of these days. But anyway, kind of a good deal. I already mentioned that the back camera, is getting repaired. So yes, I'm still on the cell phone, which is why we get these weird shadows, like the smudge that is forming on my face. Unless I turn my head like this. Deal with the smudge, you know what? Yeah, because unless I do that to my nose, I can't get rid of it. Oh! And how was the excitement in your neighborhood this week? Turns out my neighborhood was pretty exciting today, as I filmed this on Thursday, January 21st. So, where I live, there was a bank robbery. Just a few, 4 blocks to the east, that way, right on my street. I mean, everything in my town is just a few blocks away, because it's a small town, but still. Bank robbery in my town. So, that was exciting. And, he sounds like a real winner from the article. So I linked to the article. It is behind a paywall, but I found the paywall was pretty easy to get around because I just clicked X on the paywall notification and it disappeared. Okay. And he lives in a small town to my east. I don't know him, but I recognize the last name because kids with that same last name from neighboring towns to the east have played in our gym at our high school. So I don't know if he's related, but yipe. And I will also just mention our governor, as of Monday, has dropped the mask mandate in this state, loosened up a lot of requirements. Now, to be fair, the cases of COVID have dropped. As of this week, they have leveled off at where they dropped off at. But, when we're leading the world in COVID-19 and we're no longer leading the world, I think that's progress. There are just things you don't want to be the number one in the world with, and rates of COVID-19 is one of those things. So I'm glad we're no longer there. The science certainly seems to be in favor of masks. I don't know if masks or other things are why it dropped off, but whatever it is, it seems to have worked. And another thing I'll just mention, I was in contact with some teachers from other parts of the state just last day or two. Turns out we've been very lucky where I teach. We have been in person every day since school started this fall. But there are schools that have been doing only partially in person, or they've been doing online only, even here in North Dakota. So I guess I'm glad. It turns out, I don't know if I still have the link, but I did have a link to El País, which is a Spanish newspaper. Whoops. Got so excited about El País that I kicked the camera. What was I saying? Oh, El País. So I have a link from El País where they did an article about COVID spread in different environments. And one of them was the classroom. And actually, the riskiest is me, the teacher. Because I'm the one that does most of the talking. So I'm the one up there spraying all over the place. So, I got to stay healthy. It looks like teachers are in, we're at the very end of it. We're in the 1B group for priority. 1A has mostly been vaccinated. That's healthcare workers. Right now they're working on the elderly, but we're in that list of workers that are going to be vaccinated next. So I am looking forward to getting my vaccine. And I know the conspiracy theorists out there are going to be like, well, Bill Gates is going to microchip you. But, with the little vaccination needle, okay. And why? And, yeah, so it's all conspiracy theory. And that leads me to just one other thing I want to mention. Not on the COVID topic, but we had an inauguration this week. We have a new president. And, despite events at the Capitol recently, democracy has won. Despite people who have tried to undermine the vote, democracy has won. So, in the United States, democracy has lived on to fight another day. And I hope it continues for my students' sake. I'm 45. I'm going to be... Well, I learned today that one of them has a grandparent my age. But anyway... I hope it survives on for my students' lives. I don't think this experiment is ready to end yet, and it's kind of scary how close some elements took it to ending just recently. So I think the United States is in for some tough times. There are definitely people who do not respond to evidence. And worse than that, they think, I'm right on. You're the one who's deluded, man. And yet they say that without evidence. So, I know evidence is part of my job. And people tend to be more accepting of scientific evidence unless it's something they disagree with. Like, whoop, that evolution evidence? That ain't no evidence. What? You got climate change evidence? That ain't no evidence. Tell it's something they disagree with, and oh boy. But I also just want to mention, I'm going to put a plug out there for my liberal arts colleagues. That's one of the powers of a liberal arts degree, is learning about evidence and argumentation. And learning to, feelings, okay, but you got to back it up with, here's why. And knowing about things like primary sources, secondary sources, and tertiary sources, which is a driving video I keep meaning to make. I think I need to get to work on that for, the 100 or so viewers that actually click on it. Because I think that's something that's missing. So, anyway, hope that was interesting, hope it was useful, and I want to thank you for watching. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And as far as questions, my big question this week, I blasted through a whole list of pens that I have either filmed or I'm going to film. What do you want to see next? When I get the list shrunk down a little, or maybe broken up, I might start doing surveys like, which one should I do this week on my community tab? But for now, I'm just going to do an informal poll. What out of all that's the most interesting? And no, you don't get to say the one you kept secret in the pen kimono from Pen BBS. And it's not a Pen BBS pen inside of the pen kimono, but, I had to hide its identity. So that one, like I said, I'm saving for a special occasion when I just need a pick-me-up. That's a me, selfish, really depressed wants a pick-me-up one week. So that's what you're going to have to wait for. So I want to thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.